The archive is also quite flexible in how we can set it up. We did mention that this can be an LTO library or multiple LTO libraries. This can be as our landing spot. It can be a cloud object-based storage. It can be Amazon. So it's very versatile and can be used in a number of ways. Also, it comes along with a data mover. We've got a data mover called QNM. The data mover could be set up to move data from point A to point B, or copy data from point A to point B, allowing us to really tailor an archive strategy and get close to that 3-2-1 archive strategy that that we try to deploy. So if we take it just the archive administration interface, the idea behind it is most of the time we are controlling an LTO library of sorts. And just like Strawberry is keep people out of the Explorer, out of the Finder, where they're just wasting a lot of time trying to find files, folders, whatever they put where. The archive software is also designed to keep people out of the tape library. Where did stuff go once it got handed off to the archive? We kind of treat the archive as just the landing spot, the bin. What happens underneath there is most, and it brings a lot of the storage tasks like moving tapes, automates moving tapes within a library. Primarily if we're using an LTO library, we're going to have a barcode reader. For the most part, we're going to want to have mail notification set up so that should a tape that is really on a shelf in a vault, off-site, whatever, that the people that need to know that, hey, the archive server needs tape, whatever. So mail notification is big, and then the media management is really the goal of another goal of the archive is to also take away a lot of the tasks away and automate more of it. So we do have various storage libraries that can get set up here, LTO drives if we're doing that, and can be configured here. We can take a look at the media, and we can copy media here. We can exchange media. We can export media using the buttons import and export. This would be just like controlling everything with the tape robotics. And control that here from a menu. Structured storage devices. This would be setting up our disks. So if we're using a Genesis NX NAS, let's say, as a landing spot for if we're using cloud, if we're using object-based storage, we would set those destinations up here under structured storage devices. Everything above this line is storage and media dealing with LTO specifically. After we've set up a number of destinations, the real magic comes in at the integral volume. Integral volume is a strategy. So we can set up a strategy, call it an integral volume, and that may look like take files from this source and have them being stored on the NAS or stored on multiple tiers of LTO or stored on object-based storage. So integral volume is utilizing a disk cache, and with our Genesis IAP server, if we take a look at the IAP here, we have a nearline disk, a RAID 6 nearline disk cache. This is sized to be a fairly fast RAID 6 cache so that it has the speed to be able to the various places that the archive needs to move the data to. So we basically set up an integral volume here from Strawberry. This one is from Strawberry. We named it QStar. And this K drive is automatically shared out of the network ports, or this can be also placed directly on the SAN. And Strawberry, when the archive button is hit, it will place the files inside this K drive. What happens inside this K drive is really the K drive is a piece of this nearline RAID 6 cache that's inside the Genesis IAP, and it can then move the assets to the LTO tape drive. So archive here has been set up to share the drive automatically. So the Genesis IAP then looks like a NAS. So you can go around to your facility anywhere you want to mount the archive K. You can go and mount that as a CFS mount point. And now users can drag and drop files directly from that, even though underneath that NAS mount point is an LTO tape drive or a library, cloud storage. So mount, we typically in an LTO setup will be a file system. The TDO file system can span files between tapes. So if you're coming up to your 2.5 terabyte on your LTO6 and you have to span that file to the next tape, QStar will automatically grab a blank a tape ready to go, put it in the tape drive, and that file will span. We also have copy properties that's often used in tape libraries that have at least 2 LTO6 tape drives. And that's part of the 3-2-1 archiving strategy, have 2 copies of your data. So when a tape, 2.5 terabytes, is filled, we can tell QStar automatically make a copy of that tape. And we can have it do it in a highly verified way with write verification, so that we have a bit-for-bit copy of that material, and now we've got 2 copies of important data. So the real key here is integral. What we can do with integral volume is basically setting up a tier between something and something else. Most of the time, it's the RAID 6 cache that's inside the Genesis IAP's 2U server and an LTO tape library. It's also setting up the share point that makes this archive look like a NAS, so you can mount that in your facility anywhere you want. In Strawberry, it's mounted to the Strawberry server, and that's how the push and pulls go through the Strawberry server instead of the client utilizing CPU power and network resources to actually archive material. But if you want to have this act just like a NAS, you can. The ability to set an automatic copy of that tape. So we fill this tape up, automatically make another copy of that tape, and then also our write verification is also quite important. Creates the most reliable copy on tape we can. We write verification, writes the file, reads it back, and compares it. Makes sure that what we read is actually what we wrote. All right. So that's the integral volume. Now, if we create a new one here, you can see it does many things. So TDO, once again, is the fastest way to work with LTO tape. We put this TDO type into facilities where the data is captive, where we where we know that the data does not have to go external to that company. If we have a need for LTFS, this is where we would, this is a little slower way to write to tape, but this is put in volume for places that do want to have that data be able to send to their customer or sent to their partners and be able to be read by another LTO tape drive. QStar does some unique things with LTFS. It's able to span LTFS. So with the TDO, the real power is the speed and the ability to span files onto the next tapes and have that tape, that group of tapes look like an ever-growing archive that never stops. So QStar can do that, bring that benefit to LTFS as well, and span. Otherwise, with just straight LTFS, you end up getting to the end of the tape, and then you'll go to the next tape if you can't fit the files on it. We have various disk storage here. If the system was a Genesis that we were controlling, we would set that, and object-based storage would be set up here. Can have any number of integral volumes, so that allows us to create multiple archive destinations with a single Genesis IAP and a single LTO library. We can create an LTFS archive with this share. If you mount the K drive, that is a LTFS. So everything I send to the K drive is being written LTFS. Everything I send to the L drive, for example, is written into the TDO format. Everything I send to this drive letter, that's heading to Amazon. Just to reiterate, the QStar creates a very powerful system for us to design archive solutions that are tailored to a facility. Has many features to be able to handle what a facility might throw at it, LTFS versus LTO versus NAS versus cloud. And to have the reliability, the things like mirroring the entire archive. There's ability to, if we write to this integral volume, write it to that integral volume. That allows us to take a write, send it to a tape library, but also send it to a NAS at the same time. And the other reliable piece is built-in automatic tape copy and write verification of everything that we're writing to those LTO tapes. Creates a very reliable system. The usability features, getting the system set up to meet the needs of the facility, having that those copy and move rules that can help us create some automated workflow into the archive, so that hopefully as a tape archive, as an archive operator, I'm just feeding it tapes and I'm just pulling tapes out. I'm not getting into the inside of the library details of, now I got to make a copy of this tape, I better go hit this button and this button. So it's really just made to give the tape a location on the shelf, a vault location, whatever that you're using to keep track of the tapes that you've extracted from the archive, and receive those back in an email. Hey, go get tape number 75 on shelf 8. Those are real benefits of the archive system, and when integrated with Strawberry, creates an editor-driven archive system, and also an archive system that control that can look like a NAS. So I'll bring up the diagram again. We've went over HyperFS. how we can use the HyperFS file system to really tailor any facility. We have 8 gigabit, 16 gigabit fiber channel going to the edit bays that need it. We have HyperFS Song creating that SAN to LAN gateway. We've got LAN connectivity, either 1 gigabit or 10 gigabit going to the clients that need it. We have a very scalable file system that grows on the fly, and HA features to help that scale into very large. The file system is also priced to a point where it can go inside of a single Genesis RX box, becoming a stand-in-a-box. And what we will preview at NAB is being able to put Song inside the Genesis RX. So not only fiber channel connections to the back of the Genesis RX 8 or 16 gig fiber channel, but at the same time, Song NAS gateway out a gigabit to the LAN clients. We've discussed the Strawberry software, the admin tools that are available, users, teams, searchability, proxy files, metadata, naming conventions that can be adhered to, automatic templates, the ability to have Adobe, Final Cut products, Avid products all working off the shared storage, and the underlying system of Strawberry, the workflow, remains the same whether you're on a LAN-based editor or a SAN-based editor. And we discussed the archive system, the Genesis IAP server with its RAID 6 cached, expandable, workflow tools to create multiple Integra volumes to accomplish a 3-2-1 archive strategy, complete email notification tools to help drive more automation in the archive.